Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello and welcome back.
Hope everybody is doing well out there. So there's a lot of things going on in the world. Before we get going, we just wanted to thank our two newest Patreons.
Thank you. Big thank you to Kim and Demi. Thank you so much.
Yes, we appreciate it. In these times, things obviously are getting tougher for everybody, and the censorship. We see the wars going on there all over the globe as well. You know, it's really, these are trying times for the masses, and we can see that in some cases it's the best of times for people at the very top.
I know, and it's really not fair. So when you guys do help us out, we know it means a lot. Thank you so much.
And as we have shared, we have teamed with Medicinal Foods, which is a great small little company with great people that have actually been part of this family pretty much since the beginning of the first channel, Evolutionary Energy Arts. And when you do go and purchase anything from them, it does support the channel as well. And there's lots of really good, healthy products here. All sorts of things to help boost the immune system, give you energy from healthy sources, as well as, attacking certain problem issues. And, things like CBD, nanosilver, all sorts of elixirs and tinctures that could really help us in these times, because these are times that are going to be very, very tough and stressful on the body as well as the mind and the spirit.
Very much.
And just for you that have come along before, seeing the first channel, Evolutionary, which has been around for 4 years, this is the first channel that many of you have come on recently to EEARTS. So we are still putting videos up there, although EEARTS is the primary channel, as Evolutionary was demonized by the powers that be, and they still are plucking videos off of it on a regular basis. Why? The West Coast fires are producing smoke and bad air on the East Coast, and it has to do with the way, the wind is flowing, so to speak. As we had shared with you guys, we were talking to a family member in Wisconsin doing energy work with him, and he said the air was horrible in Wisconsin, even though he's far from the biggest fires. There's fires raging in Montana and Idaho and Oregon and all over the West. But it's interesting that the West Coast, if you're in California, the air quality is better than if you're in, say, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, because of the wildfires. Isn't that wild?
Insane. But it is what it is. It's kind of weird.
It is really bad air quality in parts of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, but air quality is really good along the West Coast. And, this is due to the wildfires, and we don't know exactly everything that's being burned and put up into circulation. And every time you inhale, you're taking things in that are going to get in your bloodstream.
You are, and that's something that's really disturbing, because we have to do our best to detox during these times. And then, we get stuff thrown at us in the sky. What do you do?
Yeah, and this shows you where that bad air is going. Just look at the colors, and there's more particulates, with the deeper, darker colors, the reds, and heading towards the purples. So those are areas where you got to exercise concern and caution when you're out there exercising.
Yeah.
Just think about that. It's a wild situation we have going on. And by the way, the worst of the fires, Southern Oregon's Bootleg, it grows to nearly 400,000 acres, heading in on 500,000 acres, about 32% contained. Again, the damage can be seen from space as the West continues to burn. And the amount of acreage being burned in Russia is just massive right now. We talked about the Russians, they're cloud seeding. They're cloud seeding, and they're creating rain to fight it. Same thing in Dubai. They make fake rain created by shocking clouds to tackle their heat wave. 50 degrees centigrade. Pretty intense. But hey, they're making rain for it too. Why don't we hear any mention of rain, being seeded in the U.S.? Yeah. Gotta question it. Why do we always just assume I don't know, we were brought up, at least in my generation, brought up thinking greatest country in the world, they're going to take care of us. Then you start realizing little things like, well, going back to the Cold War, Russia has the ability to house almost all of their citizens underground in case of an NUKE war.
Mhm.
We have none. The only people that are safe is basically the government itself. They'll go into, you know, really fortified bunkers deep underground in different locations, including West Virginia. Meanwhile, we're all up on the surface.
Right.
Unless we have some contact with some ant people or maybe some Telosians,
Yeah,
we're going to be SOL.
and we might get lucky there, but it just goes to show you that really things are not as they appear. The politicians say, well, we want to take care of you. Yeah, we're going to take care of you. Of course, we're going to take care of you. But look, how many people are struggling?
Yeah, and then of course, that desire from the powers that be to make everything into one big China.
Yeah.
Basically, one big China. And well, China could take care of their people. They have enough room for millions in camps, to re-educate like
Mm-hmm.
they're doing with the Uyghurs. As we know, historic crop loss as severe frost hit Brazil. So, Brazil is a big, big country and a big food producer, and destructive cold waves are coming on in and wiping out crops. And, it's to be expected, I guess, in these times. So, such things as sugarcane, coffee, and oranges being wiped out. Very dramatic situation, as we've been saying. Now is the time to really be extra prepared. And, it's pretty obvious we're going to be heading into another LOCK down. That's coming. It's coming shortly. And this one may be more severe than what we've seen before, but at the same time, I do expect we'll probably see a lot more unrest that we didn't see last time. And so, what we have gotten from the galactics right now is, prepare, 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 and really get ready to shield yourself in this time. See, there were several articles out there talking about how we've become complacent. And just because something wasn't around yesterday doesn't mean there won't be something else around tomorrow. And again, just look up into the sky as it's raining here. Again, typical summer weather where you get rain every day for a brief period of time in the semi-tropical type of environment. But when I'm saying look up into the sky, again, that weather MOD, and not just the weather MOD, what else is up there? That's the big question. What else is up there? Tomorrow, maybe, will be something that wasn't there today or yesterday. And it might be something to really be cautious about.
I know. It's these things we just got to keep our eyes open and our ears open and our hearts kind of ready to bob and weave.
Yeah, complacency. Complacency is something, we get used to living with trauma, and then you just kind of get used to it. It's kind of it's a process of zombification going on right now. And I know there will be some people saying, what's he talking about? And there are a lot of people that are getting everything that we're saying. And again, in this world, we have to speak with a certain type of obscurity in order to be able to keep speaking. And of course, there are those out there that will try to goad you into speaking with such clarity that you will not be speaking anymore, and that's their whole purpose.
Right, exactly.
As we could see right through that. It's interesting to see the BOTSs. Not necessarily that they are non-human. Some are. There's tons of AI in this world right now that's been turned on. Electrical world, 34% rise in lightning strikes in 2020 through 2021 season, leaving 1,697 dead just in India from lightning strikes. 34% increase, right? In 1 year. That's a lot of plasma, right? I mean, it's, we could say it's just simply, magnetosphere decline. It's the, big magnetic Pole reversal that we do know is underway. It's part of this. And grand solar minimum, we could add that in. And, we could add in basically artificial flavoring as well. And we could definitely add in the weather WARSs that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
But really, everybody's asking, is it that guy's fault?
It could be.
Is it simply the return of Thor?
Maybe it is. It could be. We don't know anymore. They just don't tell us the truth.
And we wanted to share too, and I'm being a little facetious with that, but in some ways not. Because again, we talked about in the Golden Age, and it's not just in the Golden Age because somebody had brought up, so we're going to go directly this time from the Kali Yuga to the Satya Yuga. No, we're still going through the progression. We still go through the progression. It's just that when you realize how dark the Kali Yuga is compared to the ages when we're not under its full influence, it's like you're stepping directly into a golden age.
Mm-hmm.
And our consciousness is going to rapidly increase, and it is rapidly increasing as people are waking up. And those that have been leading a life in which they're eating clean, which they have a regular spiritual meditative practice, perhaps people that have been practicing Qigong or yoga for years and decades, they're going to be noticing such rapid growth. It's going to be mind-boggling. The mind-to-mind communication. See, the Tower of Babel was not just an AT invasion type event, though it kind of was that. It was also all about shutting down our higher senses and higher abilities. And we're going to do what might be an hour or two long video, honestly, going deep into what exactly that was, because we've been gathering a lot of info on that event. Really, it's more like a series of events. It really is, it's all about consciousness. Everything's all about consciousness. And the world is waking up. That's the beauty of things. And by the way, Thor still exists, is what we have gotten. Though he's not necessarily here with us right now. At least 25 dead in the Chinese rains that we've seen. The flooding, it's been incredible. We've had multiple dams just collapse. 1,000 years now. They're talking 1,000-year flood. And, we're not getting far away from saying, hey, we got floods of Noah going here once again. So it's not much of a jump to go from that 1,000-year flood to say a 6,000-year flood, and then we're in that 12,500-year cycle, which is like a big point in that bigger precession of the Equinox Cycle. That's roughly 25,900 years. And we see the U.S. is charging 4 Chinese nationals working with spy agency and global hacking campaign. It's so clear, so obvious by now. And I've been doing videos on the fact that we are heading in this timeline, unless we can wake up. Really, I think we got to wake up pretty close to getting half the world awake in order to shift the timeline. Individuals may be able to ascend on their own through hard work, diligence, and tremendous spiritual practice. But to shift the paradigm here on the planet, we have to wake up a certain majority. And we need to do that fast because, we are heading towards a lot of global conflict, and the bigger events are getting ready. People are feeling it. You're feeling it. You could see it when you're just talking to people and listening to comments and watching comments out there in the masses. I was watching a tweet. I was looking at a tweet last night and then just looked at the comments. And most of the time when you look on Twitter and you look at a certain tweet, you'll see, okay, they're asleep, they're asleep, they're asleep, they're asleep. Oh, there's one that's semi-awake. Oh, there's one that's all awake. Oh, sleep, sleep, sleep. Well, it seems like people are catching on that there's this trajectory, which is pretty obvious. And it's like 2 trains heading straight towards each other. And, this is what we're talking about with the U.S. and China. And again, everything is telegraphed. Here you see War of the Drones, U.S. at risk of losing drone superpower title to China as fears mount. Slaughterbots may get in the hand of rogue powers. And they were talking about, you see the aircraft carriers out there, they're huge targets, obviously. And many of you might have been aware of those. There was like an exhibition they were doing with thousands of drones and taking different shapes, and it was like almost looking at fireworks, like, ooh, look at that. Oh, that's so cool. They turn lights on in different ways and make different patterns. What if they were all armed with some sort of bombs or some sort of weaponry and, went after an aircraft carrier? Could you shoot down 1,000 of them, 2,000 of them? This is part of like the points that are being put out there. The warfare that would be used now is not the warfare that was used in the past. There'll be some of that older technology. Here you see China offensive threat growing faster than U.S. projected in just 2018, Air Force General says. Well, yeah, because they have the backing of the true powers that be. This is all about shifting that power structure. Well, why would they want to shift that power structure? Well, for one, could you really control the people of the U.S. if the people of the U.S. were united? 330 million people with, 400 plus million small arms. The U.S. population is armed with more weaponry than China's army, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, or Russia's. So again, you couldn't easily take over this country unless there were certain things done ahead of time, which were spoken about going back in 2005 when a certain Chinese general basically said, while America is investing in aircraft carriers, which China does have 2, and I believe is about to have a 3rd, they were investing in things more along the BIOS, if you know what I mean, which, that's a big question when we look at what happened in this world, WUHAN. And as we had said, million Muslims in Xinjiang at once. This is how big some of these detention camps are out there in China. Can you imagine this system globally? Well, just think about what was underway in WW3. Think about everything, all the horrors we saw in WW3. Think about, the experimentation that went on by certain DRSs, like Mengele, for instance. Just absolute atrocities against the Geneva Convention. Could that happen on a global scale? IS, IT, question mark, question mark, question mark. Seriously, just look at it. Operation Paperclip. Where did the top brains go? They went to the US and to Russia. Ukraine's armed forces are carrying out military drills along the Russian border. It's so obvious the buildup, and I see less people saying now, well, that's never going to happen. Now people are almost going the opposite way, thinking it's more inevitable that we could have a third conflagration of a global nature. Fears, nuclear football is not secure. Remember January 6th, right? They came within 100 feet of seizing the briefcase with strike codes. Planting those seeds. The seeds are planted everywhere. Seeds, it's all about it. They seed ideas in people's minds. Then later on, there you go. One of the things the NAZISs were really good at was propaganda. Really good at it. And, you could look to Goebbels, you could look to others that, they took it to a whole level of a science. It's all about planting the seeds in the consciousness of the people. Then when the events come, the people will say, look, they told us. So it breeds a sense of trust because they told us this was going to happen, and then it happened. They were right. Well, what do they want to do? Okay, well, we might as well go along with it because they seem to know what's happening.
I know. And it says, you know, we can learn from that. We can learn from that because we have to wake up a majority of people. We can learn from planting these seeds, and we can be very delicate and very gentle with our loved ones because, as you guys know, it takes a long time to wake up. It takes weeks, months, years to sift through all the information, go through, use your own discernment, and decide, okay, this is real, this is not. And when we wake others up, we have to go into it with that understanding and that gentle nature of giving people, you know, their time and their space. But my gosh, can we plant seeds, and we can really get along. We can go a long ways by doing that too. I mean, they're proving it.
Yeah, Hermann Goering in Nuremberg in the Nuremberg trials, talked about how easy it was to convince people to go along with war. It's easy. It's just a matter of propaganda. We just convince them that a certain group is the enemy. And we tell them what's going to happen. And then when it does happen, they trust us. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't think that the average citizen in the United States, in Canada, in the UK, in Australia, New Zealand, France, Germany, we could go on, Japan, I don't think they want war against China, Russia, Pakistan, North Korea, and we'll go on with other countries that'll be on the opposing side. No, I mean, the real enemy are the manipulators that create the war in the first place. And again, the leadership, these apparently powerful human beings, apparently powerful and human, are nothing but puppets on strings for the real powers behind the scenes. So US-Germany deal on Nord Stream 2 is a face-saving move, veiling Washington's defeat. When you look at it, this is what we're seeing, is the projection is that the US is failing, and we were just listening to a press briefing this morning from the Pentagon. And even if you listen really close, you kind of get the impression that they're saying, that it's inevitable, the decline of the US is inevitable. That's what I was hearing when I was listening to them. And again, they put on they paint the picture that they are, all about protecting the common people and all. But is that really the case? Is that really the case? So that's all about the oil pipeline, the Russian oil pipeline. And again, the power is shifting ever so dramatically, ever so quicker than most people would have expected. Washington shoot down Turkey's two-state solution for Cyprus, which is a divided nation, half controlled by Greece and half controlled by Turkey. Turkey and Greece may be one of the first two nations that stand off against each other. And where Turkey is involved, it's just a wild card situation there, how that country will be used to foment what, as it is a wild card. And, there are different undercurrents, as we've said. You go back to the Crusades and see that Christianity and Islam are pitted against each other. But yet, if you go to the true teachings of Yeshua, the one known to most as Jesus, turn the other cheek. He wouldn't be all about conquering in the sign of the cross. Now, that comes from the Constantinian philosophy. Constantine the Great, who commissioned the first Council of Nicaea back in 325 AD to give us a formal version of Christianity, because it was spreading like wildfire. And if you can't beat them, join them, but create your own version that you could control them with. And that's exactly what we have. As we know, it was debated. Things they debated at that council and following councils was, what was Jesus? Was he a guy? Was he God? Was he a God man? what exactly was he? They debated everything, including the whole idea of sacrificial atonement. All these things were debated because there was not a consensus agreement. And yet the official version that we have is one that is accepted blindly by so many people. The vast majority of Christians accept that Jesus died on the cross as a blood sacrifice for my sins. But what we and others have gotten is that's not the case at all. It wasn't about blood sacrifice. And you have to ask yourself, what type of God demands blood sacrifice in the first place? I mean, we need to get outside of the conditioning and feel if it feels right. Use your senses, use your spidey senses, use the force, right? It's about getting outside of the programming, because we've had wars against Christianity and Islam, and this is going to be part of the big conflagration. It'll be a unifying factor for one half and a unifying factor for another half, even though many people are waking up and becoming simply spiritual and less religious.
Which is really, really, it's a beautiful thing to see that people are exploring their own spirituality, their own awakening. They're having fun with it. They're letting their DNA awaken, and they're remembering who they are, and they're putting these other things that are so forceful in the way of, you need to learn this and you need to do these things this way and this way and that way. They're exploring themselves, they're exploring their souls, and this is such a beautiful thing, and this is what we came here to do, and then spread our light to other people.
Exactly. India hails successful trials of surface-to-air and anti-tank missiles amid indigenous, and that's a key word there too, because they're making their own weaponry, because they recognize that so much of the Western world is relying on parts from China. And is that a smart move? Now, the bigger smart move is to recognize the fact that this is all a manipulation of pitting human against human, Homo sapiens against Homo sapiens. And when we look again at the family tree of all of those that went before us and then all of a sudden disappeared, we got to ask, Denisovans, Neanderthals, we could go on down the line, Homo habilis, Homo erectus. Are we next?
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of the plan? So that there'll be something else that comes later and maybe is a little bit more controllable. So if we got to the point where enough people realized this and said, you know what, we could see the way this is going, we're not going to take part in it, then the real hand would be played, and then you would really see them for who they are, because then the hidden technologies and many other things would be out in the public and out in the open, and it would be startling. And then truly, as it says in the Bible, men's hearts might fail them because they recognize exactly what they are battling against.
Mm-hmm.
But then also we may have more direct assistance from powers that can shut down all their systems just in the blink of an eye. So U.S. life expectancy in 2020 saw its biggest drop since World War II. And that's 3 in a row, as we've been talking about. And, we also take into effect sperm counts declined by 60% since the 50s. People are having less kids. It's all leading to basically a crisis, the opposite of what they told us forever about population. We had Gil Bates talking about, if we do a really good job with so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, we could decrease the population growth by so-and-so percent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the population is not going to be growing. It's going to be shrinking. It is already starting to shrink in certain countries, like NATO countries, for instance, and some of the NATO allies. Elon Musk warns Earth is facing population collapse. And we need more people because we got to send them to Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Because, what's happening over on Mars? Well, the reptilian hybrids over there, they're tired. They're working in the coal mine, just, working away. And they're getting tired. It's like the EGG rebellion number 2 going on. And I say that a little bit facetiously, just a little bit. But think about it. The realization that we already have bases there. There's already humans and non-humans working there on Mars, literally working and under the surface. The mining operations have never stopped, and it's more than that too. Because really they're also mining loosh, energetic loosh that certain entities feed on. And what's loosh? Well, loosh is emotional energy. It's energy that can be consumed by certain dark entities, and they love energies like fear and hatred, terror, all the negative things. They actually literally feed off of it. So yes, the tech maverick has been speaking about the importance of space colonization for years. Initially, his company SpaceX planned to send humans to the Red Planet in 2024. Recently delayed the project, saying it'll likely occur before 2030 now. And he wants us to get there, and it's interesting too, because we had talked about there was a sci-fi book written that sounds like it was written about him, and then of course we had the Last Emperor book, which, you gotta wonder, can they plug into timelines and stick things in there that weren't there before to make it look like we're heading on a certain trajectory? Or do they have time travel as well? And we asked the guides that, and the guides said that currently they don't have, humans in mass don't have our governments. Now, other entities do have the ability to time travel. But, thankfully at this point, what we've gotten is that they don't. We'd be in probably a lot of trouble if they did. But yeah, population collapse could be upon us. Yes. It's the opposite. Just like we were talking about the global warming, and it appears global cooling is coming, still there are those pushing the global warming agenda when it appears that ultimately it's going to be cooling, exact opposite of what we've been hearing our entire lives. And Jeff Bezos says polluting industries can be moved to space. After his first successful flight to space, he pushed back on criticism that launching rockets was a vanity project for billionaires, saying that the future of the planet and those that inhabit it depends on what can be accomplished in space. And this is all about softening us up and getting us ready to meet our neighbors, which is coming. And that's might not be that far away.
Yeah, I know, I look at them, they're already polluting space, and now they want to bring more stuff to pollute space. This is just horrible.
Yes, and boy, do the movies just foreshadow what happens in real life. I mean, look at what Bezos stuck off into space, a lingam.
Yep.
And, Dr. Evil. Yep.
There you have it.
I told Cindy, I said, I want to rewatch all of the Austin Powers because,
it'd be fun.
What we need in this time is more laughter. We need laughter. We really do. Laughter can shift our body chemistry so quickly. It's like when you look at that, how can you not laugh and then think, seriously, why did you make it in that shape? What function could that have? And it looks like it'd be so difficult to, seal it properly there. Why not just go straight through?
It's just so wrong. I mean, it just feels wrong too.
Yeah, it feels like they're just kind of like laughing at us in some ways, because the technology is so far ahead of what they show us. It's so far ahead, it's mind-blowing. And, we have the TR3Bs, we have things more advanced than the TR3Bs out there. And many of us have seen them, experience being really close to them. And, we know what the bigger picture is, and more people are waking up to this bigger picture. So I kind of get this to be a little bit of a middle finger towards humanity in a way, just kind of like it's kind of like a laughing at us, sticking it right in our face, so to speak. So is really Jeff Bezos the true Dr. Evil?
Perhaps.
Or maybe it's Elon.
Yeah, one or the other, or it's somebody behind them.
Curious times for sure. Thank you guys so much for being part of the family. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have the bell click to get notifications, and share. Let's keep waking people up. again, the way to change the timeline is by waking up as many people as we can so they no longer go along with the big facade. They no longer buy the propaganda. Step out of the matrix that has us divided so that we can truly unite and really change the world.
And it takes a while to get people woke up, so we got to get busy.
Yes. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.